Hello, I'm Brian Tracy. Sometimes I ask my seminar audiences, I say, how many people here are in sales? Now, there's always a few people who will raise their hands, even in a public audience, and then another, and soon perhaps half the room have their hands up, even though they may be in fields like management or finance and accounting. Then I smile and I ask again, now, how many people here are really in sales? At this point, the light goes on and virtually every single person in the room raises their hands. The truth of it is that each of us is in the business of selling every single day. The only question is whether or not you're good at it. If you're good at sales, it means that you will be an agent of influence and you'll be constantly influencing and persuading others in the direction that you want them to go. If you're poor at sales, then you're merely a recipient of influence. You're kind of like a passive person. People get you to do what they want you to do, what they want them to have you do. All top executives are excellent low-key salespeople. All effective parents are wonderful salespeople. Try to get your kids to go to bed at night. That takes real sales ability. All effective children are very good at selling ideas to their parents. I sometimes joke that when you have kids, you develop a new middle name, sort of like an extra organ, and it's can I have? Mommy, can I have? Daddy, can I have? Can I have? And kids are always saying, can I have? They're always selling us into something. Excellent employees, by the way, are also good salespeople. They're very effective at getting their bosses to do things and getting their coworkers to cooperate with them and getting the job done. Right now, I'm going to talk about one fundamental principle of all sales. Whether you know it or not, you're either using it or having it used on you almost every hour of every day. And I call it gap analysis. This is the process of clearly defining what it is that your product or service or your idea can do for a person and then showing them how they can achieve their goals with what it is you want them to buy. Making a sale or having a person do something that they wouldn't have done in the absence of your influence is only possible when a gap exists between the current situation of the individual and where they would like to be. You can only get a person to do something when there's a gap between their current life and work and their desired life and work. No gap, no sale. Now, the very best persuaders and communicators are those who concentrate all of their attention on identifying the exact gap that exists in the minds of their audience, whether it's one person or more than one. The best communicators then focus on that gap, widening it to show people how far away they are from what they really want, widening it in every possible way until the prospect begins to feel more and more dissatisfied. Now, this is really important. If a customer is not dissatisfied with their current situation, they won't buy anything. So what you want them to do is start to feel dissatisfied with where they are and more desirous of enjoying the future or the ideal situation which is achievable by the use of your product or service or ideas. Give you a very simple example. You're selling vacations. So you would say, tired, worn out, stressed, haven't had a vacation for a long time, need to just back off and rest, come to this beautiful resort, walk on the beaches, sit in the hot tubs, go out for dinner and just relax and completely decompress. You see, first of all, you show them this is where they are, then you show them where they could be, and we will take care of all the details. Call us up and we will be on a plane in a few days off to your ideal vacation. That's sort of a way of selling, and everything is sold like that. You first of all talk about the problems, then you talk about the solutions, and you show that your product or service is the ideal way to get from where they are to where they want to go. Now, people don't buy products or services, they buy solutions to their problems. They don't buy products or services, they buy help to achieve their goals or satisfy their needs. In fact, as a salesperson, you are a problem finder rather than a vendor of something else. You're looking for a need that a customer has that has not yet been satisfied. And the bigger the problem the person has, the bigger the potential sale. One of the most powerful questions you can ask a person is, how much is that problem costing you? Help the person to identify not only the obvious and the direct costs, but the not so obvious and the indirect costs. If a car breaks down, it's not a matter of how long it takes to get it fixed. It's the work that you don't get done, the other people's work that doesn't get done, the delays in getting to where you want to go. When you can expand the problem so a person sees that they really do need a new car or a new product or service, they're much more eager to buy it, and they're much less sensitive to price. When you meet a prospect for the first time, you'll find that they are usually unaware that a gap exists between where they are and where they could be. Because they don't know that they could be better off with your product or service, they'll say things like, I'm not interested, or I can't afford it. We used to teach our people to say when they heard this reaction, I'm not interested, we'd say, I didn't think you'd be interested. That's exactly why I'm calling on you today. What? Most of our best clients weren't interested when we first called on them, but when they saw how much money they could save or how much better off they could be, they bought from us and they recommend us to their friends. So, I'm not interested, I can't afford it, I'm not in the market. These are normal and natural reactions to any new approach from anybody selling anything. But all this means is that the person has not yet learned that there is a gap between where he or she is and where he or she could be using your product or service. Gap analysis is based on asking good questions. For example, a great question for gap analysis is, Mr. Prospect, if this situation were absolutely perfect in every respect, what would it look like? How would it be different from today? Then you remain completely silent. Just let the prospect think about what their perfect situation would look like sometime in the future. When the prospect begins to describe how his situation would look like if it was perfect, he is in effect describing the gap that exists between what he's currently doing and where he could be in the future. He is creating an opportunity for you to sell. If you have a product or service that can bridge that gap, you've just created the opportunity to make a sale. Whenever you want to persuade anybody of anything, gap analysis is the key. Instead of trying to overwhelm them with reasons for doing what you want them to do, ask questions aimed at uncovering their current problems, their current needs, and their current dissatisfactions. Listen carefully to the answers that they give you, and then ask questions to help them expand on those answers. One of my favorite questions is always, how do you mean? And how do you mean exactly? Take a few minutes to feed their answers back to them, to show them that you are really listening and that you really understand their problems. Say something like, so as I understand it, what you're doing today is this, and what you'd ideally like to do is that, and the critical concern you have is the price and the time, getting from where you are to where you want to go. Is that right? They say, yes, that's my situation. At that point, you're ready to make a sale. The wonderful thing about selling is that it is a learned skill. No matter where you are in your level of selling ability today or your income, by continual practice at the business of finding problems that your ideas, products, and services can solve, you can become better and better and more persuasive in everything you do and say and with everyone you meet. And the more effective you are at selling, the more successful you will be in every other part of your life. Let me repeat, selling is a learnable skill, and you can learn any skill you need to learn to succeed at any level of selling that you aspire to.